Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Morgan. Now, I live in California, and currently right now, California is holding a special election for the governor because there are people that are campaigning to recall our governor, Gavin Newsom. We're not exactly talking about that right now because we need to talk about one specific candidate, John Cox. Now, why are we talking about John Cox? Well, because in all of his efforts to get recognized, evidently someone didn't tell him that bears are not fun political props, but they are wild animals. So he's been using a bear as a political prop, and we need to talk about that. Today we're going to read this article from NBC San Diego that was published on May 12th. The title is John Cox Campaign Being Investigated for Bringing 1K Pound Bear to San Diego. California gubernatorial candidate John Cox's campaign is being investigated for bringing a wild animal to a campaign rally in San Diego, which is prohibited by the city's code, according to the officials. The San Diego Humane Society's Law Enforcement Division confirmed on Wednesday the use of a 1,000-pound Kodiak bear named Tag at Cox's campaign stop on Shelter Island the day prior may have violated San Diego Municipal Code 440305. The code makes it illegal for anyone to bring wild animals like lions, tigers, bears, monkeys, wolves, and more into the city. A violation could result in a misdemeanor charge. In response to the investigation, Cox's press secretary Anthony Ramirez said the campaign had the approval of several government agencies, but didn't state which ones. Let's pause right here for a minute. So let's be generous and assume that they had the appropriate permits and everything to be using this bear at the campaign rallies. Now, I highly suspect that the government agencies they're referring to are the imaginary ones, since to my knowledge, they still haven't provided documentation of their permissions. This still would be illegal to bring the bear into the city limits of San Diego because according to this code that is linked in the article, and of course this article is linked in my description below if you'd like to read it yourself, even if you have the appropriate permits and all of that fun stuff, you still need to notify the city at least 48 hours prior to the wild animal being brought into city limits. So even if they do have the permits, they're still in the wrong because they didn't notify the frickin' city. I digress. Let's move on. Every care was taken to ensure Tag's comfort and safety with the approval of several government agencies. California needs beastly change, and that may ruffle some feathers of left-wing activists, Ramirez said in a statement. I mean, that statement's not exactly unsurprising, but we'll get into that in a second. Tag, who has appeared on TV shows, comes from Working Wildlife in Fraser Park, a business that rents out wild animals for entertainment purposes. It was the bear's second campaign stop with Cox. His first appearance was Cox's campaign launched in Sacramento and was quickly met with outrage from animal rights groups and at least one politician. We're not going to address the animal rights groups. We're not going to address whether or not wild animals should be used in TV and stuff like that. That's not what this is about. This is about this particular incident. So if it sounds like I'm ignoring that paragraph, I kind of am. But there's only a couple more sentences. So let's finish this up. On Tuesday, Cox was in San Diego's Shelter Island to promote his run for governor if a recall election against current Governor Newsom is successful. For the record, it's very unlikely to be successful, especially since we have our regular election season next year anyway. I kind of agree with Newsom in this case that it seems kind of pointless to be running this special election if normal elections are just a few months after. But I digress. Cox's campaign is centered around the theme Beauty and the Beast, with Newsom being the beautiful, out-of-touch politician and Cox being the beast who can make change in California. Tag has become a quasi-campaign mascot. Put a pin in that. We're going to talk about that in a second. Cox was asked about the bear several times during his campaign stop and admitted it was done to get attention. The only reason he's using this bear is to get attention. Let that sink in. We made sure everything about this bear is taken care of in the utmost, Cox said. It was done to get attention. I'm going to be honest about that, but it was also done to show the seriousness of a beast. We've got to tackle these problems. First of all, this bear is literally only being used to get attention. That's the whole point to the campaign here. And not only is this bear being used to get attention, John Cox and his team are not notifying the appropriate people and not getting the appropriate permission, because if they had been doing everything by the book like they're supposed to, they wouldn't be under investigation from the city of San Diego. Because again, you can get permissions for different things to bring wild animals into city limits if you have the appropriate permits, if you have the appropriate reasons, and you notify the city with the appropriate time frame. Clearly, they did not do that. But who exactly is John Cox right now? Okay, so I do have his campaign website linked down below as well, because we need to talk about it a little bit. John Cox is a Republican candidate running for governor, which I'm sure anyone could guess based on the statements made about upsetting liberals and blah, blah, blah. Well, he's already lost to Gavin Newsom once. He actually ran for governor back in 2018, and he lost by 3 million votes. It's no secret that the state of California is already a liberal state, so that's not really surprising that this Republican candidate lost to the Democratic candidate. But if you look through his platform website, his platform is basically just a collection of buzzwords and vague promises without any information about how he's going to make those changes happen. And if you look at his Twitter, which I'm now following just to keep an eye on, he constantly has been retweeting things from sites like One American News and other very far-right things. So that's a little horrifying to me. And his whole campaign website at this point just has pictures of bears all over it now. And it's a little weird, to be honest. You do not get a feel for who he is at all. The first sentence that John Cox wants potential voters to see when they go to his About page on his website is, John Cox is the nicest, smartest beast you'll ever meet in California. This sentence kind of cracks me up. It's, one, not very professional, and two, I just don't understand why a sentence like that is the one that you would want potential voters to see first. But his whole campaign is centered around how he's the beast and Gavin Newsom is pretty boy Newsom, I think is what he's calling him on his Twitter. And his main points about himself are that he's a businessman and an entrepreneur, and he has the smarts to save California, and our state is spiraling downwards, which, I mean, that's a surprise to me since we're one of the more profitable states in the country, but I guess that means we're spiraling downwards. I'm actually assuming he means our downward spiral because we have too many liberals in the state, but that would be his thinking. I am one of those dirty latte drinking liberals myself, so whoops, I guess I'm part of our downward spiral. But his actual platform or solutions page, it's just all of these buzzwords you see in the right-wing news sites constantly, like address homelessness, open our schools, make California more affordable, right next to slash taxes, which are two things that don't necessarily go together, but I digress there as well. He doesn't say at all what his plans are, how he wants to make these things happen, but a lot of it is centering around this whole pandemic and reopening everything and all that stuff. But as of the time that we're making this video and as of the time this video is going to go live, our economy is on the way to reopening anyway. Our state is on the way to reopening. So those promises kind of don't mean a whole lot. But I'm not really surprised that his website is so infantile when he's bringing a bear to campaign rallies. Sure, this bear is trained for movies and events and things like that, but it's still a 1,000-pound wild animal. This is not like taking a large dog. You are taking a literal bear among a lot of people. And again, I understand that this animal is trained. I understand that it's probably used to situations like this, but you are putting yourself, you are putting the bear, you are putting the handlers, and you're putting anyone that goes to those rallies at risk. Not to mention, you're breaking city laws and just saying, whoops, we have permission because I said so. But this is kind of where we're going to end today. I don't have a whole lot more to say, just that bears are not political props. And if you're just using a Kodiak bear, a literal Kodiak bear, to get attention for your campaign, you're probably in trouble anyway if you can't get attention for your campaign without making the headlines because you just broke a law. But, I mean, considering the state of the Republican Party right now, not surprised. But I digress before I say something else that will get me into more trouble. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, evening, what have you. Don't forget to subscribe if you feel so inclined. Consider leaving me a like. And would you ever use a bear in a political campaign? Leave that comment down below. I will see you all next time. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane V. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.